with DeMarcus Lawrence going out when he did this season, did that accelerate the packages and the way you wanted to use Parsons earlier than maybe you anticipated? And now with Lawrence back and Gregory to follow, is it just a matter of doing that over and over with your best guys, or can you bring pressure from different spots now and throw some different looks at offenses?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because it did make me think about, the whole crew and where we're at as we're starting to, what Mike would call our third block of the season. There's excitement with that. And I think, we've had 33, defensive players that have had meaningful snaps so far. And if you had told me that, back on September 1st, we were going to play 33 guys, I might have said, oh. And now that it's happened, I was more like, oh, that's pretty cool. And there's some cool trust built and confidence that happens when that happens. So sometimes what you think might be the worst thing and losing guys for an extended time winds up being the best thing, because now we've got a big crew that's ready to roll in hard and into this block of the regular season. And maybe we don't have that moment, where we put Micah into some different spots. And now that we have that part of his game, that does allow the package to extend more. And I'll certainly be looking forward to getting Randy and Micah and Law all together. I think if you had told me the three of those would have been on the field for only 28 snaps heading into whatever it is, week 13 or 14, I said that's not going to go good. But at the end of it, having guys play multiple roles and doing different things, I think that only adds value to what you're doing. So we'll continue to add to the package with those guys.
Dan, with Mike not yet in the building, what does your role look like the next few days, and how's that communication been?
Well, let's start with the communication's been excellent, and Mike really did that all the way up, through the game, prior to the game, and then again after the game. So for Mike, his 10-day window would end Thursday, but as you guys know, two negatives, he could get here earlier. So, what does it look like over the next couple of days? We'll just wait and find out and see what his test results show. But we're certainly, circling Thursday, for the day for him to return here and get going. But he's been excellent as far as the communication with myself, with the staff. And that part's really felt on point. And I can only imagine how difficult that is to be away from the crew and watch them. It was hard for me as an assistant to do it during the preseason. And that's a whole nother level as the head coach when you're leading it all and not there on the day-to-day. So I know he's chomping at the bit to get back, and we are too, to get him here.
Ken, how do you get these guys back up to speed without I don't want to say meaningful, but normal length practices? How do you, like Neville, like Randy, like DeMarcus even, how do you get them all going with little practice time going into games?
Well, I think you start off on the first space of them, as the practice week goes. We opened their windows for practice, a few weeks back, and so that certainly helped Law. And I was very impressed by his conditioning level when he came back. So I got to tip the hat to Britt and the guys and to the players themselves for working. And we did the same thing with Neville to push him into that space. And we'll see where it goes with Nev. We're certainly going to take him through the week. But if we get to the end and he's making the kind of progress that we were, then we're ready to go. And hopefully that'll be the same thing with Randy as we're making the progress. He certainly has pushed it just like DeMarcus did in his rehab. So if all markers line up, then we'll kind of start on some play counts and allowing them to do things in their role that they would do. So, but that's where we're at so far, and we'll take it all the way up until Saturday. To I'm sure Mike will fill you in on where we're at with that. But let's take the whole week of practice and see when they're ready. We wouldn't put them out there until they were ready.
Dan, what do you like about what Anthony Brown can do in man coverage, and how did he show that in New Orleans?
Well, one, I was certainly proud of his effort at New Orleans. It was a tough game for him the week prior, and so for him to get right back in and battle for it and play aggressive but still in his own consistent way, I think that shows a lot of who he is as a competitor, and he has real trust in what he does, and we have a lot of trust in him. So sometimes we play man-to-man. Sometimes we even play zones that will play out like a man-to-man, and it's one of the things that he's done well this year, just based on that consistency of staying down on the line of scrimmage and playing square on guys and challenging, routes. So he's been one of our more consistent players, as we've gone through it. And I know, like I said, coming off a tough week, you want to see him battle back, and he certainly did that. So I was awful proud of him for coming back after a difficult performance, which happens. And he really, kind of came back and stepped right back into the consistent performances he's had prior.
How do you balance looking at the mistakes that were made the previous week and saying, let's move forward because we know you're a pretty good ball player when it comes to Anthony?
Yeah, I think, regarding AB, you have to be honest in the assessment, and you have to talk about what was good and what wasn't. And so that's not just for AB, that's for any of the players. And so I think he'd be the first to tell you, okay, I grabbed here, I didn't look back, whatever the technique might have been, regarding a foul. And so those are the things that you have to work at. And, that's our job as coaches, to look for it in practice and say, hey, that's you nailed it there, or hey, let's continue to work on it. And nobody to look further at themselves than AB. And so I had a sense that he would play well. I really did. But you got to go out and do it. And that was the thing that I was, like I said, I was very pleased with him.
When you play the man coverage,
Coach, you've been asked an influx of questions on Micah Parsons due to his production as a rookie, but have you ever seen or coached a player that possesses the combination of closing speed, instincts, and backfield vision that Micah does?
Yeah, because he is definitely a rare player, because we play him off the ball, we play him on the line. So I've certainly been around a lot of pass rushers who've got amazing stuff off the edge. And that was Jason Taylor during my time in Miami. I learned so much from him, and I've been, off the ball linebackers who've had exceptional careers and all different spaces of Bobby Wagner, to just name one. But it is rare when a guy has pass rushing, from the line of scrimmage and the run and hit factor of a linebacker. So that's what makes his game unique. And I think it's not just here, but you see it on offense, quite a bit when a guy has unique stuff. How do you split the running back out that has unique stuff as a receiver? And how do you put the tight end, wide when he's got real pass catching abilities? I think in coaching, that's, kind of our role. When you evaluate and bring someone onto the team, you'd say, what would he do on our team? And Micah, having the chance to watch him and evaluate him, through his time at Penn State, and then getting him here, you wanted to find the unique stuff he has, and then try to find ways to feature him doing some of those unique things. And so, no different than you do with any player, but he does have a unique combination of the size and speed, and I think it's that initial quickness and closing speed that always jumps out to me.
George Edwards, how valuable, and can you maybe detail a little bit his role in acclimating Micah to the NFL level, and with George being a candidate for the Duke job, how do you guys navigate that as a staff?
Well, first off, I can go back just a ways. I've got a long history with George. We were together at the Miami Dolphins years ago, and it was there that I, saw firsthand the detail that he puts into the spot with the linebackers and how it went. So that was my, first time of seeing a guy where, we had a big package, big playbook, and he really detailed it out. And you could see the guys like Zach and Junior really thrive under him. And so it's been no surprise, all the stops that he's been, that there's been some guys that have really played exceptional ball from his time in Washington with guys like LeVar, or his time in Minnesota, with Barr and Kendricks. And so at the end of it, George is fully equipped to, make sure a guy who has all the fundamentals and all the things that you need, and how do we develop players. And so I think that's one of his most underrated and underappreciated aspects of what he does. He's got a rare ability to find all the unique stuff in guys and help bring that to life. So, yeah, we lean on him a lot. We all do. In the run game, in the pass game, he's got huge experience in a number of different systems. And so he's one of those guys that gets football easily and can, more importantly, translate that to others. And when you can do that, I think that's the mark of a really good teacher, when they can make the complex and make it simple. And what you don't want is linebackers who are playing slow and have to overthink. And I think his history has shown just that. He can take the complex things and make it easy to follow and allow guys to thrive. So we're certainly fortunate that we have him here.
And then as it relates to the Duke job, the prospect of him just being a candidate now for that position? How, as a team and staff, do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of discussions about that, but I can see why they would want him as a candidate. He's an exceptional teacher. He's got a huge background, so we haven't gotten much past where they are and those things. But I would see why not only he'd be a candidate with Duke, but with NFL teams as well. He's got a rare combination of expertise and teaching and kind of a big picture view on things that's not always easy to have. And so. I would certainly endorse him not only to Duke but to any NFL team. He's got all the traits that you're looking for.
With Trayvon, clearly you're getting the production in the pass game with the interceptions and pass pickups and things. Are you getting everything you want from him in run support as well?
Could you go on a little further on that, please? I'm not sure where I'm following.
Is he being physical enough for you in the run game?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, we had a missed tackle in the game the other day, but yes, to answer your question, we are, and maybe you're referring to there was the long play they had at the end, which took some of our joy out at the end, where he and some others had missed some tackles. But yeah, we are pleased with his tackling. He has good leverage. He knows where to wrap. He has that. So yeah, we are pleased with it in his run support. Yes.
And Kelvin Joseph has kind of had hasn't been able to, kind of get in there, and he's missed a lot of time in practice in the off season. Just where does he stand now, and what is your confidence level and how prepared he is if he needed to play in a more expanded role if someone in front of him got hurt?
Yeah, our confidence is very high, and I think in the game I really tried to point out he and C.J. Goodwin especially. I thought they were kind of the on the special team side, real factors in this game as far as field position goes. Because if they were going to make sure they were going to try to get a double over to CJ, and so to see Kelvin compete and the way he covered, I just moments ago, I just told him how impressed I was by that, what that looked like. That's the type of competitor that we know he is, and so. When those moments come and he gets to demonstrate that, I thought that could kind of show everybody the type of competitor and where he stands on that. And so when his moment's called, he'll definitely be ready. And he had some setbacks to start off, just being injured and being away. But the fact is, you put moments like that together in the game, you build a lot of trust with your teammates. You build a lot of trust in the locker room to say, man, this guy, he's really down to compete and help us win games. And so as a teammate, that's what you're looking for from a young guy, to say, how can this guy help us win? And right now, the way he was helping us win was covering the other night, and it was certainly one that we were proud of in terms of that kind of effort.
What are your thoughts on
remember the last time?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Washington's offense when you haven't seen these guys play yet in person, or haven't seen them yet this year, and it's already December?
Yeah, well, I do have knowledge of Scott and what their offense is about, and I've been very impressed. Number one, I thought their ability to extend drives, their running game, the ability, the way they use motions, and for sure having Samuel back in there is a factor. So I always thought for Gibson and JD, the way they've used the two backs, now they got Samuel back in it, and I thought they just play tough and aggressive. Heineke as a quarterback, he's elusive, and we'll have to defend two plays a number of times where he gets outside the pocket and, is dangerous, using his legs to get outside the pocket, sometimes to run, but more often than not to remain a passer. But that second play gets extended, and he has real confidence throwing it on the run. So no surprise that, Ron's team plays tough and aggressive. That's been his style all the way through, his coaching career through Carolina. It's taken place again there in Washington. But at the end of it, we see a team that has good running ability, good play pass, a quarterback that can extend plays, and McLaren at the outside, the receiver, route runner, high point catching. We'll have our hands full. They've got a tough, aggressive crew, and that's exactly what we're expecting in our fight up on there on Sunday night.
Dan, have you coached a team previously that had 4 interceptions in a game? Do you remember when that might have been? If so, And how dangerous can a defense be when it can intercept passes in the diverse ways that y'all did on Thursday night?
And I think, well, yes, I have where we had some takeaways, opportunities to get 4 in a game. I have been a part of that, and I would say it's so valuable because we all know just from a turnover margin where you stand when you get to +1 or +2 or +3. And so finishing the game at +3, obviously our chances go up tremendously. And so having chances to get our hands on a few footballs is a big deal. And so where does that come from? Sometimes, like on the pressure to KZ, I think it was Jordan who got some pressure. There was a screen interception by a big guy coming out, on a stunt to come back outside. So there were different coverages of what it took place. The one on Trayvon's was actually cover 2, where he could sink underneath and kind of look at the quarterback the entire time. So having those variety of coverage certainly helps. And we've got to make sure we continue to find ways to get some forced fumbles, because that's another element in our game that I think with the way these guys can run and hit, that has to be part of what we're doing. So that's the second, the third, the fourth guy in to make some plays, because the first guy you've got to go tackle. You can't go in there and try to take a shot on the ball. Like, it has to be tackling first. There's just too many good space players to go take a shot at the ball and not have your awareness for it. So at the end of it, I like where we're heading on the interceptions, and the way I think we can make a bigger impact is continue down that way, obviously, but to add some takeaways with the ball on the ground through a sack, forced fumble, knocking it off the running backs, knocking it off the receivers, and usually that comes with extreme effort. The second, the third guy in, they're running 15, 20 yards, and the hit take place, the ball's on the ground, and we have a saying in the defensive room, good things happen to those who run, and we're certainly seeing and expecting us to see if we can knock a few out off the quarterback, the runners, and force some fumbles. Because if we can do that, I think that adds to the entire package of what we want to do.
All right, thanks, Dan. Appreciate your time today.
All right, you guys too, and look forward to getting rocking again on a normal week for everybody. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody soon. Thanks a lot.